This is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. This episode is about the story of antebellum home 12 Gables and the first decoration day in Mississippi. The warm Mississippi sun cast long shadows across the elegant facade of 12 Gables as the afternoon waned. The house stands proud and resolute, its 12 dormers and gable windows, a testament to the Greek revival style of a cottage that captured the imagination of the antebellum South. Built in 1838, the stately home had already witnessed a generation of Southern life by the time the Civil War tore the nation asunder. As twilight approached, a gentle breeze rustled through the carefully tended garden, carrying with it faint echoes of the past. The air was heavy with the scent of magnolias, azaleas, and jasmine, flowers that had adorned the grounds since the house's earliest days. If these walls could speak, they would tell tales of joy and sorrow, soldiers seeking respite, and of a group of women whose compassion would spark a tradition nationally. Inside the parlor stood silent, its polished floors and ornate furnishings a far cry from the bustling activity it had once known. The room was a masterpiece of 19th century design, with its high ceilings adorned with intricate plasterwork and crystal chandeliers that caught the last rays of sunlight. Velvet upholstered chairs and settees, arranged for intimate conversation, seemed to await the return of long-gone guests. It was here in this very room that Miss Matt Morton and her friends had gathered in 1866, their hearts heavy with the weight of loss that hung over their divided nation. As they sat, needles flashing in the lamplight, an idea began to take shape, one that would transcend the bitterness of war and touch the very soul of a healing country. The ladies of Columbus, moved by the sight of both Confederate and Union graves in Friendship Cemetery, decided to honor all of the fallen, regardless of the color of their uniforms. On April 25, 1866, they walked among the rows of markers, gentle hands laying flowers on each grave with equal reverence. The scene must have been poignant, women in black mourning dresses moving solemnly through the cemetery, their arms full of spring blooms, azaleas, dogwood blossoms, and wild roses gathered from the surrounding countryside. As they placed flowers on both the familiar graves of local boys and the unfamiliar resting graves of Union soldiers and the unidentified Confederate dead, they bridged a divide that had seemed insurmountable just a year before. This simple act of kindness, born in the parlor of 12 Gables, would inspire a poem titled The Blue and the Gray by Francis Miles Finch and plant the seeds for what would eventually become Memorial Day. Finch's verses captured the essence of their gesture. From the silence of sorrowful hours, the desolate mourners go, lovingly laden with flowers, alike for the friend and the foe. As night fell, the house seemed to stand a little taller, its 12 gables reaching toward the star-studded sky. 12 Gables had become more than just a home. It was a symbol of healing, a bridge between North and South, and a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity's capacity for compassion could light the way forward. The years rolled on, and 12 Gables continued to bear witness to the ebb and flow of history. During the tumultuous years of the Civil War, its doors had opened wide to wounded soldiers, offering a haven of comfort and care. The Morton family, who had built the house and called it home for 4 generations, saw their legacy intertwined with the very fabric of Columbus's history. Imagine the scenes that unfolded within these walls: makeshift hospital beds lining the hallways, the air filled with the groans of the injured and the whispered prayers of those tending to them. The house's spacious rooms, once the setting for elegant soirees, became sanctuaries of healing where both Confederate gray and Union blue were treated with equal care. In 1938, exactly 100 years after its construction, 12 Gables found new stewards in Mr. and Mrs. Henry Bolin. With loving care and a deep appreciation for the home's historical significance, they set about restoring it to its former glory. Under their guidance, the masonry pattern cut into the wood facade of the porch, a fashion inspired by George Washington's Mount Vernon, was preserved, a tangible link to the architectural trends of a young nation. The Boland's restoration was meticulous, involving countless hours of research and craftsmanship. They sourced period-appropriate materials, from the delicate wallpapers to the hand-forged nails used in repairs. Their efforts ensured their visitors could step back in time and experience the house as it would appear in its antebellum heyday. As the 20th century progressed, 12 Gables became not just a private residence, but a living museum. Its doors opened to pilgrimage. Docents in period dress led tours through the house, their narratives bringing to life the story of those who had lived and visited there. In the dining room, they spoke of lavish dinners served on fine china, while in the library, they recounted tales of late-night strategy sessions. The house stood as a silent sentinel, its 12 gables watching over a city and a nation that had changed immeasurably since its construction. Yet, within its walls, the spirit of unity and remembrance, kindled by those compassionate ladies in 1866, continued to burn bright, a beacon of hope for generations to come. As night settled over Columbus, the lights of 12 Gables twinkled softly, a reminder that from this place, a simple act of decorating graves had grown into a national day of remembrance. Each year, as Memorial Day approaches, the house became a focal point for ceremonies and reflections on the meaning of sacrifice and reconciliation. The house became the property of the Gilday family in more recent years, and music became a focal point on the porch, and the house was once alive again with the memories of Memorial Day, and the idea of ceremony and sacrifice and reconciliation was yet again expressed upon the property. The legacy of 12 Gables, like the holiday it helped inspire, has become a cherished part of American history, a testament to the power of compassion to heal even the deepest of wounds. It stood not just as a beautiful example of antebellum architecture, but as a monument to the human spirit's capacity for forgiveness and the enduring strength of a nation united in remembrance. Thank you for coming on my podcast, The Tom Bigby Tales. Until next time.